Hey guys, it's Jane. It's Friday and I'm here for Friday Reads. I've now filmed this about 4 times, but I just get caught up in the rabbit hole every time because I have so many thoughts and inexpressible longings to say, and I'm being ineloquent this morning. So I'm just going to try one more time and I'm just going to be brief, okay? I think brief is where I need to go today because every time I get started, it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. I read a number of things this week, which I have strong feelings about. The first thing I'm going to tell you about is The Fool's Assassin by Robin Hobb, the first book in the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. Fitz and the Fool follows many of the same characters from the Tawny Man trilogy that she wrote a few years ago, which also follows many of the same characters from the Farseer trilogy that she wrote many years ago now. Fitz, who is now at The Fool's Assassin in his late 40s, happily married, retired from court intrigue, and basically enjoying his ease on a country estate, but that does not last long. If you are a fan of Robin Hobb's books and you've been following along and you're going to pick this one up, I encourage you to really savor and enjoy those first couple of chapters where everything is happy, because it really does not last. This was a fantastic book. It's just heartbreaking. It moves slow and it builds, and then in the second half there's lots more action, and the last few chapters is just all over the place, and something terrible happens, and I am so hanging out for the next book. It's such a well-written thing. The characters are so interesting. There's so much I could say about this book, but I'm going to be brief. It's about disillusionment with people that you thought you could trust. It's about all of your choices being bad ones, and it's about competing loyalties and the pain that comes from that. It's just such a good book. So all of Robin Hobb's books are good books, but I just feel like she keeps getting better. The second thing I'm going to tell you about, a poem, something a bit unusual for me. I don't read a huge amount of poetry. I watched a video that Conrad from Just a Dust Jacket made. He's makes some great discussion videos and recommendation videos. One of the things he's doing is he's working through the alphabet and recommending classics from different letters of the alphabet, and he's up to D, and I watched his D one, and one of the things he talked about was The Demon by Mikhail Lermontov. I've probably said that wrong, but anyway, it's a Russian poem. I found a copy of it online. Conrad gave it a big rap. I found a copy of it online, translated by Robert Burness. And it may well be that the beauty of the poetry just doesn't come across through translation, although it was fine. But my problem with this, and man, did I have a problem with this. My problem with this is just the sexual politics of this poem. Basically, the story is this demon who's, hanging out doing evil. And then he sees this beautiful young girl and falls in love with her, like at first sight. And then ruins her life, basically. Just everything goes wrong from her from now on. Then on in, and maybe that's my reading of what the poem is about, but that's fully, I'm not extrapolating. That is totally what happens. But the thing is, the poem is not at all interested or sympathetic, particularly towards Tamara. It's all about the demon and his internal struggles and stuff, and it's like, the more I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but the more I thought about it, every time I thought about it, I went back to Goodreads and I reduced my rating of it by 1 star because I was just getting so angry. And it's like, it's fully what Kat Stratford says, out of 10 things I hate about you. I guess in this society, being male and an asshole makes you worthy of our time. Anyway, I read that. Yesterday, I finished this one, The Thrilling Adventures of Lovelace and Babbage. I saw this, Elizabeth from Books and Pieces showed this a couple of months ago or something. I went to my library and I asked about it, and they ordered it in for me. So we now have a local copy. It's a graphic old history kind of retelling of Ada Lovelace and Charles Babbage, who kind of sort of invented the first computer. The first chapter up to here, basically, is the actual history of stuff that actually happened, and that is pretty amazing in and of itself. They had pretty interesting lives, but from here on out, it's kind of a thought experiment of what might have happened if just one or two other things had been different. And she's, even though the rest of it is kind of made up, she's really trying to stick as closely as possible to real characters and real events. So she sort of extrapolated from actual people at the time and actual meetings that she's found, documents that record. So, for example, Charles Dodgson, who better known as Lewis Carroll, was a mathematics professor, and he actually came to see Babbage to ask him, if he had one of these mechanical computer calculators that he could use. Of course, Babbage had not finished making it at that point, but so we have all these great meetings, and it's fantastic. There is lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of footnotes in this. There's pages and pages of footnotes. A lot of it is actually quite text heavy. But my 9-year-old son tells me that you can read this book and enjoy it with just the comics, ignoring the footnotes, and it works perfectly fine. So you could read this one at a number of different levels and enjoy it, and it was super fun. The sort of fun fact that I took away from it is that it's ironic in the extreme that Ada and Charles have become sort of patron saints of the steampunk movement, who are all about fashion and style largely, because the two of them were probably the worst dressed members of Victorian England society. So they are, people after my own heart in that. I also finally finished the Pentateuch books, so I'm moving on into the historical books in my Bible read-along. I've just started Attica Locke's Pleasantville, and I'm loving, loving, loving that. So hopefully I'll have finished that by next week and I can tell you about it. And just before I go, I want to say that there are 2 read-alongs for August that they've just been announced that I may or may not be taking part of, but I just wanted to let everybody know. The first is that the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Read-alongs group is the Kitty G. Caitlin from Kitty G sort of is the mastermind behind, is doing a read-along of Seveneves, yay, in August. So if you are interested in having a go, I think I might reread it with them. Seveneves in August with the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Read-alongs group from Goodreads. And the Writers of Colour book club have chosen Throne of the Crescent Moon by Saladin Ahmed for their August read-along, and that is a super fun book that I read a couple of years ago. Anybody else who wants to join in, that'd be a good one to join in with too. I've talked for far too long, but at least I didn't rant for 20 minutes, so we'll just say that's a win. What are you guys reading this weekend? I'd love to hear. I hope you're all well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!